Hey everybody, I just wanted to do a quick video towards the end of the year to let everyone know what my 2022 plans are, to kind of give you a state of play on where we're at and where we want to be next year if all goes to plan. Um, so as you can see, despite my anxiety about the house, things falling through, we're in. I'm in my new office. I've been here for a couple of weeks now and it's just bloody lovely. So it's a good way to end the year. So I've got a couple little talking points that I'll go through because I don't want this to be an unstructured mess. It'll just be a structured mess. Okay, so first update is about Edge Force 2, Claws of the Dragon. So I haven't written anything on it for about a month or so because during NaNoWriMo, when I was hitting it really hard, I made the mistake of making it far too complex and convoluted from a system standpoint than what I would really like. And I know you shouldn't put too much stock in reviews and all of that kind of stuff, but the negative aspects of the reviews from Bleeding Edge have been more so around the stats heavy focus of it, and I can see that. So what I'm going to do is I have to go back and make a few small changes to what I'm planning on doing. I've got 70,000 words written in Bleeding Edge 2, not Bleeding Edge 2, Edge Force 2, Claws of the Dragon, and it's all getting to the really fun downward slope towards the end of the book, which is exactly the part that I don't want bogged down with the introduction of a new convoluted system. So there's some more work to be done there. Originally, I was hoping to get the book out by February, March next year, but that's going to be pushed back a little bit to March, April, because I just really want to make sure that I have enough time to get through what I want to get through with it. Okay, so that's Edge Force 2. Edge Force 1 and Edge Force 2 audiobooks should be coming next year. So I've received kind of preliminary timelines and stuff from Podium Audio, and obviously none of it's set in stone, and I'm not going to make any promises on behalf of Podium because they manage their own structure and timelines and all of that kind of stuff, which is fantastic. But it's likely that the Bleeding Edge audiobook is going to be coming at the beginning of 2022, at some time. Claws of the Dragon, Edge Force 2, should be coming probably towards the end of 2022. And Edge Force 3, Bury the Hatchet, probably won't be getting an audiobook until 2023, but that's fine because my timeline for that one is probably pushed out towards the end of 2022 as it is. So and look, I've got to have some discussions with Podium about what we want to do about release dates and all of that kind of stuff. So it's not my intention at this stage to release the ebook and the audiobook on the same date. It's likely that the ebook's going to be coming out prior, well, ebook, paperback, and hardcover. They're probably going to be coming out prior to the audiobooks, but that could change. That's just my plan at this stage. Bury the Hatchet, which is Edge Force 3. Ebook towards the end of 2022, and depending on how the series goes, that may either wrap up the trilogy or it may be the end of this trilogy and a springboard into the next. Now look, Bleeding Edge has been far and away my most successful book ever, and it's been absolutely lovely to see all of the awesome comments coming through. I made a joke about it. Well, I guess it wasn't really a joke, but I was talking about a week ago how I was at like 94 reviews or something on Amazon. I'm just like, oh man, I'd love to hit 100 reviews for Christmas. That'd be the best Christmas present. And we hit 100 reviews yesterday, with 2 days to go, which is just super cool. So yeah, we hit 100 reviews, and that's the first time any of my books have ever hit that milestone on Amazon, which is super awesome. and it still has a 4.3 average, which I'm very, very happy with. Okay, so that's all the good stuff for next year, but as there's not so good thing that may upset a couple of Royal Road readers. I don't have a lot of them over there, but those who have been following the story have been really, really enjoying it. But I'm personally finding that balancing family life, work life, writing life, a lot of the times it's really just trying to fit it in as much as I can around everything else. And I have been more so feeling lately that Royal Road is not really the right place for Edge Force in an ongoing manner. So I've kind of stopped posting on Royal Road at the moment, and I don't know if I intend to continue posting to Royal Road. I will still continue posting to Patreon once I smooth out this bump that I've got in Claws of the Dragon, and that's all good. Sitting on it for a month, I know exactly how to move forward. It's just a matter of sitting down and doing it, which I've got some holidays coming up, so that's the plan for that. But yeah, I don't feel like Royal Road is the best home for the Edge Force series on an ongoing basis. But next year, when I can look at taking probably a step back from the day job, my plan at this stage is to just kind of like drop one day a week if I can, and dedicate that day to chasing after my toddler and getting as much writing and stuff done as I can. So it's only going to be one day a week, so it's not going to be a huge ability for me to be able to, just absolutely smash it, because I'll still be looking after little fella while I do that. But the plan is that at least I'm going to be able to do more and dedicate some more time to it. And part of that is that next year, I would really like to launch a serial exclusive story with a regular posting schedule, 1 or 2 chapters a week. And I want to get enough content to have a full book written before I start actually posting that to Royal Road. I will be posting it to my Patreon, so if you are a member of if you're a patron of my Patreon, blah, 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 you will obviously get it earlier. Now, what project that is going to be, I'm tossing up between a couple of them, but that's still in the finalization and planning stages. Okay, so that's that. Next up is Cremation Online 3. Now, it's always been at the back of my mind that I want to do a third Cremation Online book. I've bought the cover. I know what the story is. It's completely outlined. The whole reason that I haven't written it so far is that because Ashen Legacy, when I launched it, totally bombed. And it's essentially like Cremation Online is dead in the water from a financial perspective, which is not great. Like I would absolutely love for that series to have the the success that the One Bleeding Edge book has had. But that's made me think a lot about what I plan to do with Crematoria Online and where the future of it lies. So, I mean, one thing that happens in indie world a lot is a complete kind of like rework and relaunch of a series, and I may look at doing that with Crematoria Online. None of this is set in stone, but I may revisit the first book and take some cues from the success of Bleeding Edge and yeah, I just don't know exactly what I want to do with it. I think they're great stories, but I think they could be told in a better way. So I'll probably sit on all of that until I've got the third book written, and then if I'm going to do a relaunch, I'll probably take all of the Crematoria Online books down, and then I'll do a complete fresh launch. I don't even know if I want to keep the name Crematoria Online. I mean, I've got a nice snazzy logo for it that Scepter Gold did for me, which I love, but a lot of the feedback I've heard is that in in pandemic times, in the plague days, which we are still in, having a series associated with, the cremation of your loved ones is probably not the best thing from a commercial perspective, which I can totally get. I understand. But yes, I just wanted to let everyone know that Crematory Online has not been forgotten. It's still absolutely on my list of things to do. It has to be the right time for me to do that. All right, so that from a writing perspective is pretty much like my plan for 2022. Going to be focusing on Edge Force 2 and 3. I'm going to be continuing to figure out what I want to do with Crematoria Online, and I want to launch a serial. Now, things are good in Australia at the moment from a COVID perspective. Queensland has opened its borders, and we're getting huge numbers of Omicron cases. But I'm not a medical expert, but it looks as though if you're vaccinated, then you may be protected from Omicron. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. All I can see is what the info is coming in. But look, I'd love for the world to get a Christmas present of a less pathogenic strain of COVID that's much less deadly, and even if it spreads more, if it's going to result in fewer deaths and bringing up immunity, then like I said, I'm not a doctor. I'm just holding out hope that things are going to get back to normal. And yeah, the one thing that I've been really wanting to do for the past couple of years, which obviously everything's been on hold, is I want to get back out and start doing conventions in Australia as well. So there's two really big ones, two huge pop culture ones that come around in Queensland. There's Supernova and there's Oz Comic Con, and they're absolutely massive. And I've done Supernova before, and it was a fantastic weekend. It's honestly like one of my highlights of my entire writing career right there. It was fantastic. I actually plan on doing another video about what to do when you're at a convention, but I want to do another couple of conventions before I get to that stage. But along with that, there's a couple of smaller conventions that I'd really like to do as well. Like there's one up at Maryborough, which is where I was born and raised, called Fraser Pop at the high school that I went to up until year 10, Maryborough State High. So I'd love to do Fraser Pop this year, which is next year, sorry, which is in July. So yeah, that's one thing that I'm looking at. There's also Magneticon, which happens up in I think it's Rockhampton. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. It's called Magneticon anyway. There's a whole bunch of comic artists and authors and stuff that I follow that go up to all of these little smaller conventions, and it looks like a ton of fun, and I just want to get amongst it. I'd love to do Sydney and Melbourne and Adelaide and Perth and all of that for Supernovas and stuff, but I just don't know what the situation's going to be, when it comes to interstate travel and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm just hedging my bets and focusing on Queensland at this stage. So that's pretty much it for me for next year. I'm not setting myself like a word count goal or you must write 5 days out of the 7 kind of thing. I do need to come up with a system to hold myself accountable and make sure that I get done what needs to be done. But that's probably what I'm going to be looking at over the holidays, I think. Okay. So that's pretty much me. That's my plan for 2022. And I did want to start opening up these video updates to kind of be like a question and answer session if you guys have any questions or anything like that. Now there's a couple of questions that did come through from other LitRPG authors that I'm going to go through here. So first is from David Moneth. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, because no one can pronounce Barbara. It's always Barbella or Barbeller or Barbeller. Moneth, I'm not sure. He's the author of the Path to Decay LitRPG series, and his question was, is there a particular niche I'm carving out for myself? And I'm not really consciously trying to do it, but everything that I write kind of has like a darker edge to it. It's not an Edge Force pun, although it probably could be. So the branding that I use on my website is dark fiction to die for, because everything that I write has that. It's got horror elements, it's got monsters, it's got action, it's got all that kind of stuff, and no matter what I write, I can never get away from that. So I think it's just going to be part and parcel of what I do. No matter what I do, it's going to be part of it. So I guess that's the niche that I'm going to find myself in, because it's what I write. But it's not an intentional carving out of a certain section of a genre for myself. Because there's a lot of stuff that I want to write, and it's not just, like one particular thing. I've got umpteen ideas that I want to get onto. Okay, next is from JF Danskin. Okay, did I watch the health minister getting crawled on by a huntsman during a COVID briefing? I generally do try and like keep abreast of all of those ones, so I do watch them, not live, but like after the fact. But that was one of the ones that I missed. I didn't actually see Yvette Darth get crawled on by the huntsman. And it's funny because she used to be my local member when I lived up at Kippa-Ring in the Redcliffe area. So I'd met her a couple of times at like voting days and stuff like that, and she'd always be out at events in the local area. So yeah, I've met her a couple of times, and yeah, she used to be I used to live up there. So yeah, but I didn't watch it live. I've seen the videos and all of that, and it's just Queensland, man. Like, there's spiders and snakes and everything everywhere. But like, honestly, huntsmans are like, they're scary looking, and I don't like it when they run at me. But they're pretty harmless. Like, they're not venomous. They won't kill you. It's not like a funnel web or anything like that. They're just big and scary. So yeah. Okay, so next one is from Stephen Landry, author of the Stardivers series. And he asks, why did I choose a German Shepherd as Kaiser for Edge Force? Now, I know Stephen's asking this because he has a German Shepherd of his own, which is a beautiful dog. So I guess I got to take a step back here, back into my childhood, bring up past trauma and using it for personal gain and all of that kind of stuff. So when I was 5, I used to live in a little cul-de-sac, and there was a neighbor that I always used to go visit. I can't remember her name, but like, I'd always go over and knock on the door and visit her and say hello, and she'd always have those hard boiled candies and stuff like that. And we had, at the end of the street, we had this huge kind of vacant block where I'd always, go and explore, like it was, like this untamed jungle kind of thing. But right at the very end of the cul-de-sac, there was this house with a really big fence around it, and there was always these 2 German Shepherd dogs that they got out and they got let out and all of that kind of stuff, and they were always a little bit scary, and I didn't really like them all that much. But I thought they were harmless, right? Well, that was until one day when my dog Butchie got out of the fence of our backyard, and he was running around the old vacant block, and the 2 dogs were out, and they decided that, nah, you can get fucked, mate. So they bit down on his legs, bit down on his neck, and they tried to pull him apart. He survived that, but his back was really sore. Like, they hurt him really bad. And yeah, he was never the same since, and he used to like run up beside our car whenever we drive home and all of that kind of stuff. And he tried to do that. Butchie tried to do that one day after he was injured, and he just wasn't fast enough, and he went up under the wheels and over the wheel arch, and then he died the next day. Nothing we could do about it. And those fucking dogs just, well, they're responsible for his death. Which, as a 5-year-old kid, that's a bit fucked, coming out to the laundry, and waking up and finding your dog, cold and stiff in the morning, not survived the night. So that was shit. And then about I don't know whether it was a week or 2 weeks later, I was going to visit the neighbor again, and those two German shepherds were out of the fence again. This time they weren't content with going after a dog. They decided to go after a kid. So I was underneath the veranda from my neighbor's house, and underneath the front stairs. One of them came in behind me. One of them came in front of me. It's exactly the same thing that they did with Butchie, my dog. And next thing I know, I was on the ground, and one of the dogs had bitten me, and I was screaming, and they ran away. And yeah, like I'm 100% sure that if I hadn't screamed louder, that the other one would have come for my neck, and I don't know what would have happened, And ever since then, like I can just viscerally remember the way that like the sunlight hit this German Shepherd's eyes as it was, coming for me. It was like glinting with that kind of animal eye shine kind of thing, which is it's where my fear of dogs, like big dogs that I don't know, and eye shine came from. That one pivotal moment from when I was 5. And as I get older and wiser, hopefully, definitely more handsome, I'm always wanting to kind of face those kind of like fears and things that I'm terrified of. So when it came time to write Bleeding Edge, honestly, the idea for Kaiser, he wasn't even in the first draft. Like, not at all. He didn't even appear in the outline or anything like that. But when I was writing it, and I was writing the scene in the village at the very beginning of it, he was just there. And he was this fully formed character. And I wanted him to be... I mean, it wasn't even a conscious decision, but looking back on it, I think I wanted him to be like, the antithesis of the two German Shepherds that had attacked me when I was a kid. I wanted him to be intelligent and caring and funny and a little bit of a sassy bastard. He's definitely smarter than Hatchet is in the story. Yeah, he just showed up, and then he completely changed the whole course of what I had planned for the series, but in the best way possible. He's as much of a character in the series as Hatchet is, like they are both the main character, even though it's told from Hatchet's perspective. And I grew up reading books about, like intelligent dogs and stuff like that. Like Dean Koontz is huge on it. Like, the Fear Nothing / Seize the Night series, Watchers. There's always a dog, and there's always something else that's kind of like, part of that dog. So I guess subconsciously I was kind of channeling that inspiration as well. But, like when Kaiser showed up, he was who he was, and that was it. He was one of those wonderful characters that I didn't even have to consciously write. He showed up on the page just being who he is. Anyway, revisiting childhood trauma was always fun. But this video is getting pretty long now. It's at 24 minutes or so. So I think we'll leave it at that. So yeah, then my plans for 2022. I hope you guys enjoyed the Q&A. If there's anything that you want to ask, please feel free to just drop a comment, send me a tweet, shoot me a message on Facebook, shoot me an email, whatever you want. Because I'd like to make it a kind of a regular thing of just having some Q&As at the end of these videos. I mean, if you guys like them. If you don't like them, I'll stop. Yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great Christmas holiday season, whatever denominational or non-denominational thing that you choose to celebrate, if you choose to celebrate. But I just hope you have a good time, a safe time, and I hope 2022 is going to bring everything that you want it to. That's all from me. Peace.